Hi, my name is Spencer Garnes. I'm a strategic management major at BYU. And in this video, I'm just going to go over um, the basics and things you should know if you are a transfer student transferring to BYU. And this is something that I can speak to from experience. I can share a little bit of my background there. Um, I started school at BYU Hawaii, did a year of school there, did my freshman year there, uh, and absolutely loved it. I then went on a mission for 2 years and then came back from that and went to another year of school at BYU Hawaii. And then after that year, decided to transfer to BYU. And there are a lot of things that I wish I would have known in that whole process. But hopefully, I'll be able to cover some of those things here and make that process easier for anyone else who has to go through something like that. Um, so I'll just jump into what I have here. One of the biggest questions that I always get from people who are thinking about transferring is, "Oh, how did your credits transfer? Did your credits transfer over? Did you lose any time?" And the biggest thing that you can do when you're looking at transferring is just looking at how all of that works. And so BYU tells us that college credit can transfer in three different ways. The first being through their general education requirements. So BYU has a handful of GE classes that you have to take in order to graduate. And some classes that you take at other universities can um, count for those GE requirements at BYU, and some of them won't. So that's an important thing to be aware of. Other classes might fall under your major requirements. These ones are sometimes a little bit harder to get to transfer because um, each major might have its own kind of specific thing that it wants you to accomplish, and so sometimes some of those requirements are a little bit more stringent. And then anything else that doesn't fall under those two categories, or I guess your religion credits as well, would then fall under elective credits. And so you need 120 credits to graduate, and most of the time, your major won't cover all of those credits. And so if you took some extra classes here and there and they don't transfer to to a specific class at BYU, they'll likely just give you elective credit for it. And so that'll just help you work towards that 120 credits that you need for graduation. And another beautiful tool that every transfer student should know about is this transfer equivalency search thing on BYU's website. So you can go to this link that I have at the bottom of this slide, and it'll take you to this page where you can put in your school at the top that you've been attending, and then search any class that you either took at that school or a class that you're curious about at BYU, and it'll show you below how that credit or how that class transfers to BYU. So I took accounting 201. Um, Yeah, I think that's what it's called at BYU Hawaii, Intro to Financial Accounting. And luckily, that was a class that actually did transfer to BYU. They counted that for Accounting 200 at BYU, which was great because that actually ended up being a prerequisite for the major that I ended up going into. So this is a super useful tool that can help you look at the classes that you've taken so far and see how they'll be able to transfer at BYU. And then another really important thing to know when coming to BYU um, is to know a little bit about maybe the major or program that you're looking at going into. You don't have to have this exactly figured out. You can, of course, spend some time at BYU figuring that out. But if you want to go into business per se, It's good to know that the School of Business requires an additional application for you to major in any of the specific programs that they have in the business school. So if you want to major in marketing, you have to apply to the marketing program, and it's important to know two things then. One, what the prerequisite classes are for that major, and two, when that application is due. So for the business school, I know at least those applications are due usually in the spring, summertime, and each major will have a list of prerequisites that you need to take in order to apply to that major. And that's super important to know because if you miss those classes or if you miss those deadlines, then you often have to wait an entire year until you can apply again. So being aware of that is super helpful. And not all of those um, program major applications happen at the same time. Like I think some of them happen after fall semester. And so it's just good to know when those are so that you can stay on track and not necessarily have to tack on extra years when you transfer to BYU. That's another question that people always ask me is, oh, did transferring add more time to your schooling? And being aware of things like this often helps so that you don't have to spend too much extra time in school. And so that kind of covers the basics of the schooling and education aspect side of things and your credits. Um, but I think it's also important to look at transferring through a social lens as well. I think a lot of people that transfer to BYU come from schools or universities that were maybe smaller, had a different culture, um, maybe weren't as like busy or intense as BYU. And I definitely found that to be the case. I loved like the smaller social scene at BYU Hawaii and just felt like I really easily fit in there. And then I came to BYU, where it's this massive school, tons of people. You meet a lot of different people that you might not ever see again. Um, and so I think some of these social tips would have really helped me just really become more integrated at BYU when I first started here. I think the YSA awards and the FHEs and activities and things like that they do here are awesome. Like, I would highly recommend getting really involved in your ward. It's a great place to meet people, have opportunities to serve, and um, yeah, just build great friendships. Another great thing about BYU is that we have amazing sports teams, and the games are so fun to attend. Like the energy and enthusiasm there at the games and the student sections is pretty unmatched. So that's definitely something to take advantage of here. A lot of the clubs are great. There's so many different clubs, and what's cool about BYU being such a big university is that there's often something for everyone. There's a club, a group of people, where most people can feel like they can fit in somewhere. So some of those clubs can be a really great thing. Intramural sports are really fun. They have lots of different kinds, and they happen throughout the whole school year. Um, the outdoors are amazing here in Utah. You have the mountains. In the winter, you can go skiing. And in the summers, it's super pretty to go hike and camp and mountain bike and things like that. And it's a great way that's how I found is a great way to make friends is by doing activities like that with other people. Um, and then Y Serve is a program that the school started that just helps you have opportunities to serve and get involved with service projects happening in the community and other like-minded students who are looking to serve as well. And of course, there's more things that are just on this list, uh, but hopefully these help you feel a bit more integrated at BYU and really a part of the the campus here. So that's it. Hopefully you have a great experience transferring to BYU.